All right, now to online password cracking. Okay, so let's say we have again this old friend of ours, Windows 10 virtual machine, and we have to remotely guess passwords for it, right? So let's go to our console and let me introduce you to two very efficient tools that do that. Okay, so there are many ways to online guess passwords for systems, but these two basically give you the most coverage, right? And remember that sometimes you most probably will encounter a service that does not allow you to use these universal tools. Okay, so you will have to script your brute forcing or password guessing script. Yeah, you script your program that will do that. For that you will most probably require some knowledge of the protocol that the service uses, and all this can be found online most probably if the protocol is not really proprietary and closed. However, in most cases you will get the most of these universal tools, and I will show you Hydra and Encrack. Hydra is one of the oldest ones, and it's still in maintenance, so it's updated regularly. And Encrack, of course, is some kind of a substitute for it that comes with the Nmap. And first, let's start with Encrack syntax. Okay, so yeah, it's rather a large file that is really similar to Nmap help message, right? So here you have almost the same target specification and service specification and timing specification, authentication options, output formats, and so on. So everything is really Nmap-like, except for these modules that you can specify either by just setting this notion of port number here after colon, right? Or by specifically passing this name of the service before the IP address, right? So let's just review the examples that will show us the difference from Nmap syntax. So -v, of course, just makes the output verbose, which is the same as Nmap. User specification is done like this, yeah, and then you pass the host name and the service. So from here, from that notion, Encrack will get it, right? So it will guess that this is SSH and this is the IP address, I mean the host name for a local loopback interface, and it will start cracking a root user account on this SSH server by randomly generating some brute force sequences. Okay, so this is quite dumb. This is to show you that these templates of timing still are valid for Encrack as well, so it will be really fast for HTTPS to this IP address. Presumably this is a local host, local network host, which means that, yeah, this is most probably a home router or a default gateway for a local network. However, HTTPS is still quite slow, so using T5 for it, I don't know, maybe not the best idea of the day. Anyway, so just to show you the similarities and differences. And here, this is really a handy one, right? So let's imagine Nmap XML has the output of some service scan, right? So it has some ports, host names, and so on. And this is input from XML that will eat it from the file, and everything will be just there. Okay, so no host name or username or other notions will be available to this Encrack command. However, it will globally, yeah, this -g means globally, yeah, set these options globally. It will globally set these options that, as far as I remember, capital CL will set the maximum number of connections for each service, right? Globally, for each service to 5, and timeout of each login attempt will be set to 1 hour. Timeout, TO. Okay, so briefly that's it. Now let's see what Hydra is. So Hydra, of course, has this brief hint of what it can be in the services department, in the services section, right? And this is a simple example. Login as user, password, capital P. Passwords are from this read from this file, and then brute force FTP. I mean, not brute force, but password guess FTP service at this IP address. Okay, and it has a much larger file, a much larger help message, which is full of different specific options you can get from Hydra. So, for example, you can get it to run against a single login, or a file containing logins, a single password, or a file containing passwords, or a colon separated pairs of login and password. So later in this video tutorial, you will see how to get really personal with the targets, right? So with the human targets. I mean, in the social engineering engagement, you most probably will get some idea of the people you are dealing with, and you will be more familiar with what they do, what they are, what are their hobbies, passions, and desires, and so on. So you will be able to guess some user-specific passwords, put these guesses into the pairs like this, and then save them to files. Okay, and then use them to password guess a specific service. Of course, the notion of targets is like this. Unlike in ncrack, you will have to put everything here, I guess. No, port is optional. Okay, so let's go straight to examples. But before, let me strike two things related to passwords and logins. So brute forcing administrators and roots is not a good idea normally. Yeah, so you never know whether they are locked by default or not. So you will deal with some human logins, and just by from a common sense, yeah, you could guess that two users having the same password is much more likely than two users having the same login name, right? Because the latter is virtually impossible. And this is why when you are password guessing, you have to cycle through logins. Okay, so you take one value of a password and you try it against every login name you have. So this is much more realistic scenario, and it will get you somewhere much faster than the other way around. Okay, because there are shared passwords. There are passwords that are more likely to appear because, yeah, every password leak shows us that some passwords, some very short list of passwords is very popular and always making top 10 or top 100 in every password leak. Okay, so please mind that when you prepare for password guessing attacks. And you can do that the other way around, but it is not really recommended. Okay, so let's make it more realistic. Let's first nmap our local network for some Windows hosts, right? We know it's there, but is it pinging back? Yeah, so here it is. Now let's and map it with some ports we are interested in. Here we are, they are open. Yeah, they are closed by default, but in most Windows infrastructures they will be open because file sharing, printer sharing, and remote desktop connections are the thing for enterprise. just to maintain everything and keep all these workstations in order. And what we will do first, let's try to crack the password for this user via SMB. And one more important thing to mention here is that SMB protocol is not good with dealing with multiple connections. So Hydra, for example, has this -t, right, that represents the number of tasks run against each target, right? So we will have to do it in one thread, yeah, in one connection, and we will use username user. And yeah, one more important thing, we will have to put some domain name here as well, which is -m, right? It's not visible here, but just believe me, right? From the larger Hydra help message, we know that -m stands for. Is it really there? No, I think it's module specific. Yeah, it's SMB module specific. It's not listed here. But again, I'm sharing this sacred knowledge with you. We will have to do this -m in order to pass the actual domain where to look for this user, because by default it will look at the domain the machine is a member of, which is not a good idea. We are trying to password guess the local user, so that's why we will put this IP address here, right? And then we will pick up some passwords from, of course, seclists RockU collection, okay? And now we have to specify the service, and it will be, of course, our target machine. Okay, I think we're good to go. Fire. So it takes really little time, a few seconds, for it to guess the password. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Right, so according to just due to some protocol specifics, SMB is really fast. Okay, it just throws in the blocks of data here and there, but running in one thread, it will really slow you down. So when you can, you should do it via RDP. And how to do that exactly? Let's try to do that by ncrack. Okay, so ncrack will get a user from us. We will use a password file. Okay, the same one. Okay, and then we will have to specify the number of connections. Let's set it to 5. Yeah, how can we do that? CL, so minimum connection limit is CL and maximum connection limit is capital CL. Okay, and we will set it like we'll set it after specifying the target, yeah, because it's basically target specific. And we will put RDP here, and then set CL to 5 and capital CL to 5 as well. Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, interesting. What's wrong? Let's put it this way.